You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I appreciate you joining me here on our Training Thursday edition. And today we're going to go over how many calories you actually burn per day, and how many calories does that mean that you need to actually take in order to reach your body transformation goals. So I've gone over part of this a little bit more in depth on a previous Training Thursday. It was back a couple hundred episodes ago. But I've never given you the actual answers that a lot of people have asked me on, how many calories do I burn when I'm going for a bike ride? Or what about when I'm walking? Or what about when I'm going hiking? Or how about if I'm rowing? Like any of those things. So what I want to do is I actually want to provide you with two calculators today so that I'm going to give you the information, but then you're going to actually be able to a little bit more scientifically calculate for yourself something that's called your basal metabolic rate, which we'll get into. And then also calories burned per activity. Both of those really do matter. There are actually, you can get really in depth with this, by doing like bod pods and other fun body fat calculators and actual lean body mass translators, and to figure out, how much mass you actually have in your body, meaning that how much of the greater burn is your body getting, like how metabolically active is it? You can do certain breath tests. I've done them all and they're all pretty good, but you know what? They're all pretty close as well. And I don't think that most of us need to get really that in depth with it in order to see our results. Now, I just love all of this stuff, so I really kind of geek out on it. I really get into all the different technologies and sciences and all the stuff behind it. But for you, if you're just saying, I just want to know, tell me how many calories should I really be eating per day? We can do that on today's episode without you having to get too deep into this yourself. So the biggest thing is this, is that you can use a really general format. And if you're someone that's looking to lose weight, what you would do is now again, this is very general. I'm going to get more specific. But what you could do is this. You could say, okay, and I'm going to use 160 pounds as our calculator for today. Because again, the average person is somewhere around 160 pounds. Of course, some people weigh 250 pounds. Some people weigh 110 pounds. And there are people below that and above that as well. So I understand that, right? I've worked with NFL football players who are close to 350 pounds. And believe it or not, they have body fat just in the low 20s, pretty impressive specimens of individuals. So I know that it's all over the map, but you can use the same kind of parameters that we're talking about right now for any weight. So what I'd like to do is just say this. At 160 pounds, I should say, if you're looking to lose weight at 160 pounds, your typical calculator is going to be a multiple of anywhere between 10 to 12. Now, what that means is all you're going to do is take 160 and multiply by 10 on the low end, that's 1,600 calories, to 12 on the higher end, and that's going to be 1,920 calories, okay? So here's how I look at this. Very, very important. I like people to use an app like Lose It. I just think is a great app. It's free, so it's just called Lose It. That's it. Type it into your favorite app store. It's completely free, and it allows you to actually either customize the foods that you put in, so specific for you, or you can calculate based on their calorie counters, which are pretty impressive. They have a huge selection. So again, this is completely free to use. And I recommend just putting in an average day. Again, like if you wake up and you have a bowl of cereal, a glass of orange juice, and then you have a coffee, and then mid-afternoon, I don't know, you might have pretzel, or mid-morning you might have pretzels, and then for lunch you have a sandwich. Just put all of that in. Don't hold back. You have to be really honest with yourself. You honestly do. You really, really do. And I'm going to tell you why in just one moment. So once you put all of those things in, it's going to give you how many calories you ate for that day. Again, we're just looking for an average day. Just put it in an average day on like just a regular calorie day. Okay. Now let's say that you're 160 pounds and your average calorie day was more like 2,750 calories. Okay. So 2,750 calories. Now, if you're 160 pounds and you've been eating that much and your weight's kind of plateaued around there and you still want to lose weight, well, you don't need to go to 1,600 calories a day. Do you see why this matters? This is why it's really important to be honest with yourself or your personal trainer. Because I wouldn't even recommend going down to 1,920 calories. if you're eating 2,700 calories, just go to 2,200 calories. Eat 500 less calories per day. And the reason I say that is that you could still lose weight by just going down 500 calories a day consistently for 7 days a week. And that's the amazing thing is that, believe it or not, you want to eat as many calories as you can, whole foods, of course, with good nutrition in them, so that your body just soaks up all the antioxidants, all the vitamins, all the minerals. But of course, there's an upper extent to that for each person. So if you're storing more calories, which means you're putting on body fat, well, your body already has met its upper limit. And of course, I just recommend the daily activated multi or the daily nutritional support to make sure you are getting your calories. And you can use the daily fruit and vegetable blend. And the reason you can do that is that's a very, very low calorie, whole food, 22 organic fruits and vegetables. So now, you're getting the power of whole food nutrition along with that. But so hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's really, really easy. Now, if you're looking to gain weight, in my opinion, there's no multiple for that. Some people have said 16, some people have said 20. It honestly doesn't matter. What you have to do is literally out-eat your metabolism. So you weigh 160 pounds and you're a male or female and you want to get to 175 pounds. Okay. You honestly have to calculate how many calories you're eating right now. You can't use the same weight loss format. You have to calculate exactly how much you're eating right now on a daily basis. And the reason you have to do that is because then whatever it is, if it's 3,000 calories a day, you need to up that to 3,500 calories per day, every day. The biggest thing that happens is this, okay? I work with a lot of men and women who are looking to put on muscle, who are looking to put on size, okay? Yes, it is more guys than girls, but some girls are also interested as well. And they have the same right, same prerogative to be able to put on muscle, just like guys. Now, they usually have less testosterone, so it isn't quite as easy, but you're still able to, okay? So here's the thing. A lot of people looking to put on muscle, looking to put on weight, they say, I eat so much food. And I say, okay, do you really, or are you just eating that a lot of food like 3 days a week? Because that's typically what happens. To put on size, you need to eat a lot of food every single day. When I was looking to go from about 170 pounds, 168 pounds, which is more my natural weight, to 200 pounds, because it was a goal as a natural bodybuilder to try to get myself as massive as humanly possible back in my early 20s, what I did was I said, okay, I need to out-eat my metabolism. And that's what I did. And believe me, I did it. And it was actually a lot of work. If you never tried to eat 5,000 calories a day from decently healthy food, yes, a lot of it was fast food as well, because I was trying to get my calories up. And so again, this is not healthy to do. It's challenging. It really is. That's a lot of food to stuff into your stomach. And of course, it wasn't healthy for me. And I paid the price for that. But you have to out-eat your metabolism. So essentially what I did was I went from 3,500 calories a day up to 4,000. When I plateaued, I took it up to 4,500. When I plateaued, I took that up to 5,000 calories a day. That's where I maxed out. I couldn't really eat more than that. And again, no human should do this. So please don't try this at home. So that's how to calculate it. If you want to lose weight, calculate it that way. If you want to gain weight, you can calculate it the other way. Again, using that Lose It app. Again, I'm promoting them, but I have no vested interest in them. Now, in order to find out your basal metabolic rate for a good starting place, you can go to bmrcalculator.org. Of course, just go to stephencabral.com/657. As always, that's the show notes page so this is show 657. So always just go to stephencabral.com/ and then that show notes page, and I'll actually link up everything right there. So you never have to kind of go searching for it. What did he say? What was that name of that website? I'll link it up there. That's bmrcalculator.org. And so I'm going to put that right in there. And what it will show is it's actually pretty interesting. So a 160-pound person, if I just type it in by height, weight, those types of things, let's just say the average person is 5'8" or so, or somewhere around there, 160 pounds. And your low end person would burn about 1,941 calories per day, meaning like that's their basal metabolic rate. That's the amount of calories they need per day to kind of just maintain their weight, okay? Now, some people with a very fast metabolism or who exercise a lot might need 3,074 calories. Do you see how that's an 1,100 or more calorie swing? Isn't that impressive? I mean, that's why, when people don't give body types enough for the credit they deserve. Think of it this way. The 160-pound endomorph would need more like the 1,941 calories. Slower metabolism. That's it. Naturally slower metabolism, okay? They can do things to boost it. I've talked about that on the previous Weight Loss and Wellness Wednesday Cabral Concepts. Now, the ectomorph, they're going to need more like the 3,000. Isn't that interesting? Like, we already know this, but conventional medicine doesn't want to admit it. It's funny, 6,000 years of real science, scientific research, meaning the science of life, Ayurveda, that's what it is. Ayurveda, the science of life, the truth of life, has already known this. It's so funny to me that I've been doing this for, 2 decades with people, knowing that, hey, this hard gainer, they need more like 3,000 calories if they're 160 pounds. And this endomorph, believe it or not, they need 1,000 calories less. And the two of them both maintain that 160 pounds. So interesting. I mean, really, I find this stuff very, very fascinating. And I hope that one day the rest of the world, in terms of conventional medicine, catches up with this. And then there's maybe the pitta body type right in between, about 2,500 calories. So very, very interesting. Just knowing my own body type as well, right around there. I probably do really well around the 2,700 calories per day with my exercise level, my activity level. When I do increase that, because I do increase my actual activity level in the spring and summer, so my calories have to go up a little bit closer to that 3,000 as well to make sure that I maintain my weight at the proper weight. And that, again, I have put on weight in the past, and I have put on too much body fat. So I've actually had to lose that body fat. And again, I use the same type of calculator. My body can actually put on weight if I'm eating processed foods. Like, believe me, if I'm eating junk food, like too much processed starches, I put on weight. But if I'm eating healthy food, my body essentially soaks it up. And that includes good fruits, good vegetables, good starches. That's okay. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. That's how we're going to calculate our caloric needs. Now this is important because on the days, like let's just say, that average endomorph, they need, let's say 1,900 calories. Okay, well, here's the thing. If they want to eat a little bit more, let's say they want to have a cheat meal that night. They don't want it to really affect them. If they do a greater amount of exercise, which I'm going to give you some of the calculations now, they could actually allow their body to get in more calories because they burned more calories, okay? I think we know intuitively that makes sense. If we burn more calories, our body will allow us to eat more calories to replace that fuel shortage. Now, one point I do have to make, though, is that if we're trying to lose weight, we can lose that weight in caloric excess or deprivation in two ways. One is we can eat the same amount of food as usual, which most people like to do, but burn more calories. So that's what I'm going to talk about now. The other way is to keep the exercise the same, but actually reduce calories. People don't really like that way because they may not already be eating a lot of calories. Okay, so both matter. Now, this is 20 years now of helping people transform their body. Literally 20 years helping people transform their body this year. Okay, so most people, generalization, but most people are going to burn about 500 to 600 calories per hour doing moderate to intense exercise, okay? That means going for a jog, doing a resistance weight training workout, doing moderately paced exercise class, doing a spin class, although spin class could be a little higher. 500 to 600 calories per hour. How does that equate? Okay, about 100 calories every 10 minutes. Think of it that way. So when you're on your elliptical and you see that it says you burn 1,200 calories in an hour, that is ridiculous. It is though the exercise machines kind of jack up their own rating to make it look more impressive, right? Like, oh, well, I use this, elliptical. I'm not going to name brands right now, but I know the brands that do this. And it says that I burn 1,200, but if I use this elliptical, oh, well, that only says I burn 800. So you can see why it's in their vested interest to use their little computer inside to calculate a higher caloric burn factor. But the truth is, that's not true. Okay, so here's the deal. And I'm going to actually link up. The calculator is called thecaloriecalculator.com, calories burn calculator. Okay, I'm going to link that up for you. So what it will do is it will actually show you based on your weight because it does matter. It really does. If you weigh 200 pounds and you're not really in shape and you're like 30 years old, you could burn 1,000 calories per hour. Like you could, but that won't last forever. As you start to lose weight and as you start to get in better shape, you'll actually burn less calories per hour. That's because your body becomes more efficient and your metabolism has been boosted to a greater degree. So if we are now doing that same exercise 3 months from now, believe me, you're not going to burn the same amount of calories because the effort exerted is less. Hopefully that makes sense. Your body's adapted to it, right? So that's why we change up our workouts every about 4 weeks. That's typically what we do in our practice. So now I'm about to give you all of the calories burned per hour because I'm going to look at it on an hourly basis. But just keep in mind, you're going to hear over and over, somewhere around 400 to 500 to 600 calories per hour, all right? So that's how you know an hour of exercise, how much do I burn? About 500 to 600 calories, all right? That's from moderate to intense. Lower intensity is going to be somewhere around 200 calories to maybe 300. High intensity interval training, a really rigorous spin class. Those are going to be more like, let's say around 700 to 800, okay? Could be more. All right. So backpacking, let's just say you're going hiking, moderate pace, 508 calories. This is for a 160-pound person for 1 hour. Again, that's what all of this is based on. If you weigh 200 pounds, you're going to burn more calories. If you weigh 120 pounds, you're going to burn less calories. That's how all of this works with the human physiology. Okay, so let's say you are doing just walking up and down stairs, about 250 calories per hour. All right, let's say that you are doing a speed walk, 472 calories, okay? Let's say that you're doing normal walking just around your house. So let's just say you're doing kind of like housework, but you don't stop for an hour. That's about 145 calories, okay? Let's just say you're out walking after dinner, you're relaxed, you're just chatting with your spouse, going for a nice little walk or with your dog, about 250 calories per hour. So of course, if you do that for a half an hour, you're going to burn about 125 calories, okay? Let's say you're walking at a brisk walk at about 3.5 miles per hour. That's actually a very fast walk. You can't really walk too much faster than that. So that's about 300 calories, 312 calories per hour. Let's say you're running at 5 miles per hour, okay? That's a slow to moderate run, all right? That's 600 calories per hour, okay? If let's say that you're doing an uphill run a lot of the time at the same 5 miles per hour, that's 711 calories, 711. Why? Well, now you've increased the grade. You've increased the difficulty. So that's going to obviously make it a little bit more challenging, all right? So now let's go into biking. Let's say that you're doing mountain biking, some trails, uphill, really vigorous, about 1,000 calories per hour. Now that seems a little high to me, but when you're biking uphill, really, it takes a lot of effort. Okay, for the normal person cycling, somewhere between 12 and 14 miles an hour, about 581 calories. All right, let's go to a couple other ones as well, because biking's a really nice one, but it's going to be around, again, 400 to 600 calories. Let's say you're doing a circuit training workout, about 312 calories. Let's say you are doing some more intense resistance training. That will be something like, let's just say it's working with your personal trainer doing a high intensity interval training workout or kind of like a boot camp type class. About 566 calories. That's in an hour. Rowing can be around 617. That's at 150 watts of output. That's about mid-range. What about yoga? Well, hatha yoga, which is the kind that I recommend for relaxation, for breathing, all of that, about 181 calories an hour, okay? How about power yoga? About 290 calories. Now, that doesn't really count hot yoga. Hot yoga could be even higher than that. That could be closer to the 500 or 600 calories per hour. What about dancing? Dancing, about 399 calories. Zumba classes, about the same. That can even be up to about 472. We talked about cleaning. We talked about household work. I'm going to link this up for you today. Really, really interesting. Again, just like if you're just moving around houses, like watering plants, 181 calories. Just playing with your children, 181 calories. So again, we're looking at light activities, about 150 calories or so per hour to 200 calories. And for our exercise or vigorous activities, about 400 to 600 calories per hour for the 160-pound person. Hopefully this makes sense. I was basically just trying to give you today a lot of frequently asked questions where, how many calories do you need per day? Well, it's based on if you're looking to lose weight or gain weight, or if you're looking to maintain weight. Well, that's simple. Go to your Lose It app or one of those apps, type in the typical food that you eat on a daily basis, and that's your maintenance level. It might be 1,900 calories or it might be 3,000 calories. Again, depending on your body type, depending on the type of food that you're eating as well, whether it's blood sugar spiking food or just nice, healthy, whole food that you're adding into your nutrition. So hopefully this show helped. Of course, if there's any follow-up questions, I'd be happy to answer those on our weekend host calls. And for those two calculators today on how many calories do you burn per exercise, go to stevencabral.com/657. I'll give you your basal metabolic rate calculator for how many calories you need to eat per day. And then also as a starting point, and then also how many calories burned per activity. Take care, everyone. Hope you enjoyed today's show. I'll speak with you tomorrow for our Friday review. Don't miss it. It's going to be our holiday healthy shopping guide. Take care. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only two ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.